Hey everyone, GameHounds podcast. We are back, and I'm sorry we're late. Nick and I got to talking about a screenplay we want to write together.
hmm It
We're not going to talk
involves.
about what the screenplay is about, but yeah,
It might be a live action version of Ookie Bookie Spaloogie.
yeah, it could be.
hmm
I think that would be good. I think we could knock that out of the park.
I think people want to watch someone push blocks for 2 hours.
Don't make me don't make me spit coffee. I've already okay. I got my new computer right
Uh
that
huh.
a couple of months ago, and I was like everything new, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get this new pretty Bluetooth keyboard, brand new.
Okay.
Spilled coffee on it.
Oh, on the keyboard.
Now we have a new new
Oh,
keyboard.
geez. Did you
Yeah,
break it?
yeah. The P stopped working.
Oh,
Like many old men I have met, the P stopped working.
wow.
So yeah, I was right going along, and it's like, up, I cannot get the P to work. All right, so it's done. So I had to get a new one. So yeah, don't make me spill coffee. I literally just plugged this in today.
Okay. I will try.
And if you're watching, hello, new camera. I'm hoping that it's better than the old camera. In fact, I don't know. Can I show you old camera versus new camera? I might be able to. Stand by.
Do you have them both set up?
I think I do. Let's see. Camera. Yeah, I think I do. Old camera. Old camera. That's it. And new camera.
Yeah, definitely
Big
clearer.
difference. I can definitely see the difference.
Yeah, even the background.
Mhm. Which that means I have to like clean my house. It's just something I'm gonna have to do now is to actually sort out what's going on back there and what's
the
going on over here.
the monitors on the dining table.
Yeah, the monitors. Well, yeah, my old workstation. Yeah, I got to get rid of those. Or now it's like my gaming thing, but also deal with these monitors. I gotta sell these. I got to sell these. It's just
It's a lot of monitors,
over here. It's
just
just
in
two.
general.
Yeah, it's two double dual monitor for.
Yeah, but then you've got another thing that you're at right now.
Mm-hmm. This is my computer. That was where I sat for a year and a half.
Like, oh, that
Working
was like,
working for
oh,
Vituity.
so you had two different setups for your work computer
Yeah,
and
this is
for.
my home computer, which is a Mac.
Okay.
That was my workstation PC on the work computer. And never the twain shall meet because I didn't want anything on my company on my personal stuff because it was in healthcare. And I did not want to be nailed for any kind of security issue. As it was, the company did have a security breach from a disgruntled ex-employee that shut down the entire company for like a week.
Hmm.
That just is completely borked our systems. So I just never wanted to be the person that said it was like accessing anything from my home computer because I just didn't want to have any questions. I could say authoritatively, I'm not the source of your breach. It's your equipment, your computer, all you. And I didn't, nothing of it got onto my computer.
Hmm.
So that's why that is the way it is. But these have to go. Those monitors, different kinds of monitors. Those monitors have to go. So what you been playing?
I've been playing just the same general things. Ogre Battle on the phone, the emulation, Ogre Battle 64, and Dragon's Dogma 2 on PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have fallen down into is a rabbit hole of emulation because I started looking and thinking, you know what? Like this Nintendo 64 game works pretty well on the phone, on the
Mm-hmm.
handheld. And then I was like, I've seen handheld emulators, and that got me into this whole other subculture. Do you know how many handheld emulators there are? There's like
No.
several dozen versions.
Really?
Uh-huh. And
Yeah.
so I was like, some of them are like, oh, these are good for the old 16-bit games. If you want to go higher, you can get like these sets over here. If you want to go higher than that, you can get these sets over here. And they go through everything up to Steam Deck. Like, okay, if you want to run like some 360 games or like PS4 games, get a Steam Deck. And that can basically run things, you can buy them then. But that got me looking because I wanted to go up to PS2 emulation. Because
Mhm.
PS2 is what I grew up with. So that's kind of where all my nostalgia is. And that got me looking at all these handhelds. And I eventually found one that I was like, okay, this looks good. It's supposed to run everything well, but it's $300.
Oh,
And I was like,
ouch.
that's a lot.
That's a
But
lot.
also, if I think about it, has like a handheld archive
Mhm.
where I can basically put a whole bunch of PS2, PS1, Nintendo DS, Nintendo 64 games all on one oh fuck, what are the little things called?
Thumbs drives?
Not thumb drive, the little discs. Uh uh
Micro SD cards?
yeah, SD card, that's what it
Okay.
is. Like get a 256 gigabyte SD card, put all things on there, and I basically got like an archive of retro games
We gotta
in
get you
handheld.
connected with Maynard. We might have to ping Maynard because this is Maynard's bread and butter.
But
Yes.
Rachel used to work for Google, and as
Right.
such, she got a lot of like test phones from them.
Right.
When like the test was over, Google was like, "Yeah, we don't care about the phone. Just
Yeah,
keep
dog
it."
it was like dog food, right?
Dog food, yeah, that's what it's called. So she had an old Pixel 7, which
Mhm.
is like the second most recent generation. They're on Pixel 8 now.
Right.
So that got me looking into the Pixel 7 and digging it out of a drawer and going, okay, how many emulators can I load up on this? And I was able to get a PS1 emulator running, and I
Uh-huh.
downloaded a bunch of games for that. Um, Next is like going into PS2 and SNES era. But what I'm finding is that the problem with just doing it on the phone is that each emulator is a different app, right? So it's like, oh, if I want to play a PlayStation 1 game, I've got to open up this one emulator
Mhm.
and then I can play from there. If I want PS2 games, I've got to open up this other emulator and do it there. If I want any of these other games, open up a different emulator. What's nice about the handhelds is that they have basically an operating system shell that kind of takes all that stuff and combines it into one UI,
Right.
right? So you're not jumping between a bunch of apps.
Right.
And so I'm still kind of like, maybe I should get this $300 handheld, but I want to experiment with the Pixel phone a little bit more
Okay.
to see how much I can put on there because
But you should just spend the $300. I spent $300 on a stupid biorhythm ring that is coming because somebody recommended it. So if I can do it, you
but
can do it.
but I don't want to. I want to see if I can get things working here. I can just get like a backbone, put that on here and have an actual controller, and then I can just use this phone as my
Yeah.
archive.
Yeah.
It all depends. I'm part of me is like because
You know what? These are the things you put on your Christmas list or your birthday list.
oh sure,
When's your birthday coming up?
January.
Oh, all right.
It's a ways away.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing is
Mhm.
that I want to see more videos. The handheld I'm looking at is called the On Odin 2.
Okay.
AYN Odin 2. I want to see more videos of it like actually in progress, like actually running games. I want to see the OS just to like get a better sense of what it is. And the tricky thing is that because emulators exist in this legal gray area,
Mhm.
none of these handhelds come with the stuff installed. So I still have to install all the emulators. I have to find the BIOS files for the consoles, and then I have to download the ROMs to the handheld. And So I feel like if I go through that process with this phone first and figure out how to do it,
Mhm.
that will make it easier to do it when I get the actual handheld.
Right. That's possible. Um, you should still.
Oh, we
Coley says
harshest
last week.
critic.
Speaking of harshest
Harsh
critics,
critic.
yeah, last week's show is way better. I was watching Goalie's stream last night, yesterday in our time, and he was playing. What game were you playing? It's a football emulator or simulator. Um, looked really cool, looked really fun
Is it
too.
the board game one?
No, it was a PC one.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was watching it for a little bit. There's the link for the Odin too.
Yes.
Action
Action PC.
PC football. Okay.
Action PC. That's a whole brand, right? That's a whole like IP
Yeah, it is.
franchise.
It is. And so emulators, you've decided
Mhm.
that you're just going to I think it's a good idea. You should just put your toe in the water.
Yes, I'm putting my
With
toe
the
in the water
right, don't
with a
just
device that I already have.
right, go cheap just to see how it goes, and then if you decide that it works for you or you want to dive deeper, then
Yes.
you can get the $300 machine.
Yes.
Um,
So that's what I've been doing. That
yeah.
and watching Silo on Apple TV, which is very good.
Mhm. I have been working. I mean, I can't talk much about what it is I've been doing, because of confidentiality reasons, but, uh, I don't know if I'd call it a promotion. Let's just say I got an expansion to my duties at work. Uh,
Okay, so an expansion of duties for the same pay. That sounds
that's not
kind of
that's about to not happen.
okay. I
I
hope not.
yeah, no, no, no. Um, but I'm gonna be bouncing between here and Sacramento in coming weeks. Hopefully not permanently, but probably close to it. But spending more
That's a
time
bit
up
of a
there.
drive.
It is a bit of a drive, but I don't drive it. I take the train.
Oh, okay. That's
So
easier.
I'm thinking, and the problem is I got the dogs, and so I'm thinking that I might try to get essentially a roommate, like get a house share and be able to say, look, here's the deal. I'm not going to be here all the time, but when I am here, I'm going to be here for like a couple of days, 3-4 days tops, maybe, and I'm going to bring my dogs. And if I will pay you what you normally would have for a roommate, but here's the deal: is that I got dogs, and they're going to come with me, and I'm
Oh,
not taking them to work
you mean a place in
in
Sacramento?
Sacramento. Actually
Okay.
get a like a second place in Sacramento. And I don't really want to get my own place. I would really like to have like a roommate situation so that if it's somebody that has their own dogs and, you know, they work it out, it's like, consider this that you're getting full roommate pay, but you're getting like a quarter roommate actually in the house.
Yeah.
So the other is that during those times, there's dogs involved, and if you could watch the dogs, that would be really great because the dogs one of them is getting a little neurotic because she's a weirdo, and I'm busy and getting increasingly busy. Thank you. Yes, Goalie is on Digital to Dice podcast. He does something at least once a week. Last night he was playing action PC football. Hey, Goalie, who won that? It was what was it? It was I can't remember who it was. I just remember that you were actually showing the Action PC scores of other games, and the Niners were losing to the Cowboys, and I was like, "Of course they were," but that's all right. It was in the third quarter, and everybody knows that the Niners always come back in the fourth quarter and wrench from the jaws of victory, and shove it full force down the face of defeat for any time they play the Cowboys. Just saying, especially in the era that you were playing. I think you were playing in the 80s. So anyway, yeah, if you were interested in tabletop, sports simulators, low tech, Stratomatic type, action PCs type of games. Goalie is fantastic. And not only that, he has probably the greatest gift of being an announcer that I have ever met. It's a natural ability
Yes.
because he calls the game as if while he's playing it, he calls the game, and if you closed your ears, or close your eyes, not yours, close your eyes, you would hear essentially a professional announcer calling the game. So if you're interested, that's where to find it. Digital Dice Podcast. 1979. That's what he was playing. So yeah, that would 79 Raiders were not that. I mean, so the Niners were not that great in 79. We really didn't start popping off until the 80s, but we were
I wasn't
getting
a
there.
fan in 79.
You weren't alive in 79.
No.
You weren't, are you?
No.
No, you weren't.
Nope.
You were many years off.
I was 6 years off.
Oh God. Were your parents even married in 79?
I have no idea.
So, yeah. Way to make me feel old.
Yeah, the 79 Raiders. Oh, they were great.
Yeah, 79.
Yeah.
I was 13 years old.
Oh yeah, I loved the 79 Super Bowl between the
Oh, God, it's hard to be old. It is so hard to be
Mariners
old.
and the Dolphins, right? Oh, that was a game.
Dolphins, yeah. Miami
Yeah.
Dolphins. That was Marino. Dan Marino was the
I know about
was the pitcher, was the quarterback for a legendary quarterback for
I knew about Dan Marino from Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Yep. Yeah, Dan Marino, quite the dude. He was very, very good.
AC Wraith says he was 2.
You were 2. It's in 79 was goalie. Was Namath playing in 79? Joe Namath? I think he was. He didn't stop playing until like the early 80s, I think, right? Goalie, if you're still here. Help me as someone who's even close to my age. Was Joe Namath still playing? I know I could look it up, but I would rather ask you. All right. So what else did you play? Anything else? Just the
Dragon's Dogma, Ogre Battle 64. Both of them remain very good. Ogre Battle is getting very, very hard, but I discovered online that there is apparently a very easy to execute item duplication glitch. So I
Are you
did.
really gonna do it? You can cheat?
I did it. I did it like 8 times on an item that this item permanently raises your strength by a little bit. This item permanently raises your intelligence by a little bit. And
see, I did that for Stardew Valley, but only after playing a lot of Stardew Valley without like glitching. And you did?
See, here's the thing. The way the class system works in that game, you can't just change classes to another class. Like, oh, hey, I'm a knight and I'm a fighter and I want to be a knight, or I want to be a black knight, or I want to be a wizard. You can't just change the class because there's this. Each of the classes has a different stat requirement, and so if I took a guy who was a knight and tried to make him a wizard, his stats might not be at the right area. He might not have the intelligence to be able to make that change. And but then there's also a system of alignment, like morality alignment between chaos and lawful. Some classes are very much a specific alignment, and changing the alignment is pretty difficult. It takes a lot of grinding. So even if a guy has all the right stats, like let's say what's a lawful? A paladin is super lawful, but a ninja is super chaotic. So if I want to change someone from paladin to ninja, I can't do it. Thankfully, there are items that will change your alignment for give you a little bit more chaos, give you a little bit more lawful, but 2 or 3 points. I need to shift it by 70 points. So I just duplicate the items and get 255 of this item, and I give 30 of them to a guy and change his alignment from lawful to chaos or vice versa. And now I can basically that's very true. Now I can basically change any character into any class. And
You
that's
say that
that's
it's like it's a
nice.
bad thing. You say that it like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
That is
AC
how
Wraith
Skyrim is supposed to be played these days. Now,
says the
when it
Skyrim lady
first
who
came
brings potions to nuke landscapes.
that is how you're supposed to play Skyrim.
Mhm.
Like, not the first time through, and even maybe the second or third time through, but certainly by the fourth, fifth, and sixth time through, you should absolutely be playing that way, because that's when it gets super fun.
Well, see, in my
Now I
defense,
just need to look at somebody and they go, flying off into the netherworld.
I've resisted using the urge to use these infinite items to
Yeah.
just like buff my characters to holy hell.
Why not?
I'm just using it to change the classes because I want a particular unit to have 2 paladins in front
Right?
because they are like super
Super great tanks,
strong.
right?
Yeah. And like 2 wizards in the back with someone else kind
Yeah.
of filling out the middle. But god damn it, those paladins have to be really lawful. And I don't have a lot of characters that I can spare with that. So it's like, I'm gonna take you, you chaotic motherfucker, and I'm gonna like strap you into a chair with your eyes open, and I'm gonna force feed you law and do goodness.
What was it? A Clockwork Orange. You're
Yeah,
gonna Clockwork Orange. Oh, it's a crime! It's a crime!
I'm gonna clockwork orange you until you become an
No!
upstanding citizen, so
Until
that
you
you can be a better tank.
so that every time you try it, you have an evil thought, you throw up.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Okay. You want to torture your chaotic characters into being lawful good?
Also, the other way around. Like some,
You've been torturing your paladins to be
oh yeah,
chaotic?
because ninjas and ninja masters are chaotic. Black knights are pure chaos, and they are strong.
Of course they are. Anything
Yeah,
that's pure is strong in D&D
yeah,
or, those kinds of games. Goalie must not be here because he did not reply. Namath
yeah.
retired in 77. So in 79, he was
Okay,
no longer
okay.
playing.
But yes, that's my journey with Ogre Battle 64 now, and I also
Right.
played a little bit more Dragon's Dogma 2. Fought a Medusa, which was very annoying because she turned one of my pawns to stone.
Oh, and you
It's
don't get them back, do you? Once they're done, right?
I could have like gone to a pawn stone and
A pawn
resummoned
store?
them. Yeah, a pawn shop.
A pawn shop. You go to the pawn shop and get a new pawn.
Even if your main pawn dies, you just go to a pawn shop and they
Right.
come back again.
Okay.
But I fought that Medusa like at least 6 times.
Uh-huh.
And it completely obliterated me until I went back to town, like upgraded my class, got different magics and all that. Then I went back there, killed the Medusa. And it's not all chaotic characters. Like,
What do I'm going to put this out here to the chat room. What is
okay,
Nick's alignment? What is Nick's alignment in your
D&D
opinion?
alignment.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would call you chaotic neutral.
I feel like it changes depending on the game.
No, I'm talking about you as a person. You are chaotic
I'm
neutral.
probably I'm less chaotic in real life than I am in games because in games there are no consequences, so it's easy to be chaotic.
No, you're kind of chaotic.
Ah,
You're not giving yourself amount of credit.
okay.
Or I would say you're kind of you're not really lawful.
No, I was just talking about like
You're
buying
definitely chaotic. The
spending
question is, are you
$300.
neutral or are you chaotic evil?
I would say neutral. Definitely not lawful because I was just talking about spending $300 on a device specifically made for, the P word.
Oh yeah, no, you are not. Yeah, you are not lawful by any means. You are way too. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
would go chaotic neutral. Anyway,
I was gonna say the story about the Medusa. Went through all this effort, like she killed me, went back, leveled up my characters, came back, fought the Medusa, defeated her, felt great, got a really good bow and arrow out of it. It's like, oh yes, this is a good weapon. Killed the Medusa. This is awesome. Go back to town, start exploring a little bit, and I run into a guy who says, who's an artist that says, "Hey, I need you to help me. I can only um carve things that I've seen, and this dude wants me to carve a griffin. So I need you to take me to a griffin fight and not kill it so that I can look at it long enough in order to carve it." Boy, you know what would be really helpful? If you were to petrify that griffin, then I could just look at it indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait, how do I petrify it? I just killed the Medusa. And then I looked it up online. Turns out, if you kill the Medusa in a specific way, you get her head.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use her head to then petrify other monsters. But I don't know if I can get her head now because I already killed her. So
Okay.
I gotta find another way to get this griffin.
Yeah. All right. So,
Yeah.
anything else?
That's it.
All right. Shall we hit the news? Because
Yes.
since we didn't do the intro music, so
Oh yeah. There's a lot of news, but also like it's only really one story.
only really one story. Absolutely. So let's hit it.
Okay.
This is the GameHounds reviews and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer Edie and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is the
So I guess
only above the fold
before
story.
we do that, we should like go back in time a little bit and talk about Helldivers. Because that issue got resolved.
All right.
Yesterday. We were last week.
It did get resolved.
We were arguing about like, oh, the Sony is requiring a PSN linking if you're on PC, and all these guys revolted against that, and we're like, oh, the PC player base is so high maintenance, but at the same time, like Steam is allowed more places than PSN is, so by requiring this linking, people in those countries lose access to the game. And it's like, oh, that's a good point, but also, God, you're so whiny about it. This week, a year ago, it feels like Sony reversed course on the Helldivers 2.
Yeah, they realized they had stepped in it big time, and the Helldivers 2 on Steam had just been review bombed to hell.
Yes, and what's also funny is that that rating is now going back up because they've dubbed it Operation Cleanup. The Helldivers community has
This is the problem when you have a community that is that devoted, and that was something that was created, really fostered by the developer of creating this really involved community in Helldivers. Is that if they turn on you, it's all bad. But if they turn back, they'll go back and they will have an operation to fix the shit that they broke.
And it's interesting in retrospect, looking at how the CEO of Arrowhead, the Helldivers 2 developer, handled the situation. Because he was very much like, womp womp. You know what? I'm sorry. I also don't like it. I think this is dumb.
Right.
You know who you should talk to? Like, I don't know what you can do.
Maybe they intentionally did that. Maybe
I
they just knew that they created minions to do their bidding.
Like his response was not the response you usually see from a developer. That's like a very buttoned up statement, like what Sony did when they reversed course.
Right.
Like he was all, yeah, I know this really sucks. We don't want to do it, but Sony's forcing it, and it's just not up to us. Boy, that sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. Would hate
like he doesn't add the
hate
wink.
to see
like,
something broken by that,
wink.
wouldn't you? You'd hate to see like Sony regret their decision, wouldn't you?
It's like, boy, there's not a lot of things you can do, but you can change review of the game.
Yeah,
that's a possibility. You could do that.
If you don't like it, I mean, obviously you should like. The one place you do have is your reviews.
Yeah, that's where you can make your voice heard. So you should do that. And
well, I couldn't possibly say that. I couldn't possibly agree with that statement.
Yeah. So yeah,
you might say that. I couldn't possibly.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how he handled it. That there was kind of an awareness that Sony needs Arrowhead more than Arrowhead needs Sony, at this point.
Arrowhead is absolutely terrifying because they have shown that there is an army that is willing to go to war and take orders. And what's most terrifying about them is not that the fact that they could get their army to go and review bomb and work in conjunction and together to do damage. The terrifying thing is that they could say, okay, now go fix
Oh.
it. And everybody went and fixed it. That
Mhm.
is control. That is power.
Yeah.
That is terrifying. And I wonder, like, I really do wonder if anybody's going to work with that guy again because it's scary. They have made a monster.
Yeah. Yeah, and Andrew in the chat specified that it's not perfect because I think the game was delisted in those
170
areas.
countries.
Yeah, before the account linking went into effect.
Right.
But right now it's still delisted.
Yeah.
So they haven't brought it back in the places that you can't set up a PSN account. So those people who brought it, I don't know if they're screwed forever. Like without the account linking, it feels like it's very plausible that they could relist the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
as of for now.
and along those same lines, since you bring it up, I'll just pop in the whole linking of accounts thing isn't just limited to Helldivers, even though that has resolved itself somewhat. It has also pointed out other games that are having issues that don't have the legion of fans that are going to be activated at the beck and call of the developer. Ghost of Tsushima, their PC release that's coming up, same problem. It's going it. Lots of people downloaded it for pre-sale, but it is being banned. The game's removed from sale from those same 170 countries.
Yeah. But
Um,
at least they got out ahead of it. Like seeing all the Helldivers kerfuffle, Sucker Punch is like, okay, this we should specify exactly what's going on here. Because they said that you need it to play the multiplayer, but you don't need to link it to play the single player.
right, right. The Legends.
Yes.
Yeah, which honestly, Legends, man, it's been a long time since we played Legends. That was a really fun multiplayer.
It was so shockingly fun.
Shockingly good.
Yeah.
Oh, we really should do that sometime again.
I could do that.
I could totally do that. It's been a while though. I'm rusty, and as I recall, that multiplayer,
Yeah, it got hard.
Brutal. It didn't joke around at all. It made you when you went up to expert mode, you better be an expert. You better know exactly how to play your character because one false move and it was over. Anyway, so yeah. The game has been pulled from sale by the exact same countries that Helldivers 2 was. And in the places where people had pre-ordered it that were part of those 170 countries, the players are getting some players are reporting they're getting automatic refunds from Steam due to the removal from the market, but not all. So, everybody's mileage may vary on that one, but go ahead if you are one of those countries, player in one of those countries, you might want to get a refund. And if you haven't been automatically refunded, go and ask for it because it's not coming out. All right. So, then my next time, do we talk about the big one?
I think so. Now that we got like the big news of last week, that was like, oh, this is big. This is big.
The
and then like Tuesday, that Sony reverse course or something, and then what? Thursday, Microsoft announced the thing, and it was like, well, this is just what everybody's talking about now.
Yeah, it's everything everybody forgot. So yeah, Microsoft stepped in a big flaming pile of doo-doo, flaming bag of doo-doo outside its door. Thing is that Microsoft placed it there and then stepped in it.
That's what I was just gonna say.
They doo-doo bombed themselves. So they announced that they are shutting down 2 studios. The 2 studios are Arcane Awesome and Tango GameWorks.
Yeah, well, there were two others. There was like a mobile developer that got shut down, and then a
Yeah,
support
Alpha
developer
Dog
that's gonna
Games
get
and Roundhouse Games.
yeah, Roundhouse is just gonna get like incorporated into ZeniMax and
Right.
Elder Scrolls Online.
Right. So, but the big one news were the two games, the two studios that actually had games that came out fairly recently. Arcane Austin was the one that makes Redfall. To be honest, that kind of tracks.
Bit
Was
of a flop.
Redfall was a spectacular flop on many, many, many levels. So, so yeah, I could see that. But the one that surprises everybody was Tango GameWorks that made Hi-Fi Rush, which
Yeah,
was a hugely successful game in almost every metric.
yeah.
I
Well,
can't think of a metric it wasn't. It was
and
critically acclaimed. It got loads of awards. It was game of the year on game of the year lists for almost everybody. It
yeah.
sold like hotcakes. It
Well, I
made
guess
a lot of
that's
money.
but like that's the thing is we don't actually know how well it sold because it came out on Game Pass.
True.
But what's frustrating is that people are always pointing out to a tweet by Aaron Greenberg, who I forget his exact role at Microsoft, but he's one of the higher ups.
Mhm.
Well, one of the higher ups at Xbox, where he specifically said, "Hi-Fi Rush was a success in all of our key metrics, and we couldn't be more happier with its performance."
Mhm.
It's like, well, clearly you could have.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Arcane Austin's going to leave the staff to join other teams where rooms available. The rest are going to be unemployed. Tango
Mhm.
GameWorks is going to close without any job lifeboats. This is according to IGN. The same goes for Alpha Dog and Roundhouse. Actually, the same goes for Alpha Dog. Roundhouse is going to get, like you said, incorporated into the ZeniMax Online Studios,
Yeah.
the Elder Scrolls Online guys. So, so
It, it
yeah,
it sounds like when they cut it, like they just the block came down. Arcane Austin
they
was
snuffed
working
it out like
on
a bag of kittens thrown into a river. It was like, "Yep,
don't
out."
listen to it. Don't listen to it. Yeah, like Arcane Austin was working on an offline patch for Redfall. They were working on new heroes for Redfall that was set to come out in December.
Which was
Not
pointless.
December, October.
It was pointless.
But like they will
That was a waste of time.
but like
Absolute waste of
the
time.
offline patch is a thing, right? Let people play it offline because now they're going to shut it
It was a
down.
terrible game. It was a terrible game. It was like just objectively terrible. And who nobody wanted to play the objectively terrible game online. There's no reason why they would want to play an objectively terrible game offline
It could be
with
interesting
new
for
characters.
posterity.
Yeah, but there's a lot of games that have been lost to time. That's one of them I don't mind.
Yes.
That one could go.
Yeah,
That one's,
no
that
no
could be
loss.
dropped into the litter box of history.
Yeah, but see,
Just bury it and
it makes
pretend it
for a
didn't
very
happen.
important historical document to look at, like
How
Arcane's
bad it could
legacy.
be.
Arcane's legacy.
I don't think Arcane wants to be remembered for that at all. They shouldn't. Um,
But
yeah,
yeah, it's Tango
but the
GameWorks too.
Tango GameWorks is the one that has got everybody hot
Yes.
for a lot of reasons. One, successful game. They even admit it, like you said, by their own key metrics. It was very, very, very well received. Everybody loved it. And on top of that, Arcane's being absorbed mostly. Tango is just like, you're gone. They just dropped onto the freeway from an overpass. It's like, sorry. And on top of that, the real like nail in the coffin for Tango was just a few days later, the head of Xbox, Matt Booty, in an interview at an internal town hall, I should say, said to everybody that the company, quote unquote, wants smaller games
Mhm.
that give us prestige and award. That's our new focus. Smaller games that give us prestige and awards. Like what happened with Hi-Fi Rush. It I don't know who pissed off whom at Tango. It makes no sense that
See, I
they
don't think it's a
shut
matter of
that
anger.
company.
It does if you're looking at Xbox has something that is drowning in water and is kind of splashing, because
There are worse places. There are much worse places that
both
they
of
could have
these
taken them.
studios, but both of these studios just put out games,
Yeah.
right?
That's gonna be a while before they put
It's
out their
going to be
next
a
one.
while before they had anything else,
Yep.
and that means that they just would have sunk money into it.
True.
And it's like, I imagine, and other people brought this up. Ninja Theory probably has to be really panicking and losing sleep because they've got a game coming out in a week.
I know, and
And if the
they're
new
already
metric,
looking for their next jobs because in a week and a half, they're all gonna get fired.
yeah, if the new metric for Xbox is, well, you put out a game, so we no longer need you, we're going to
God,
close you.
that's
Like,
the
it's,
terror
yeah,
of knowing.
and that's it.
It's like
We've talked for
it's like
years.
being the new wife and finding out that your husband murdered all the previous wives. It's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
no."
And like we've talked for years about how Xbox has had real trouble um uh developing developer talent, right? They've had a
Uh-huh.
real struggle in fostering talent and keeping it. This doesn't help any of that. Like, this is just adding to that.
All the cat people in the chat are now ganging up on me because I mentioned drowning kittens.
No,
AC Ray says,
no,
"Put it down like a dog." Oh, wait, a neurotic pup, right. I am not putting down my neurotic pup. I love my
no,
neurotic pup.
no one would ever drown kittens, Shepherd.
N
No, no,
Bad people do. Very bad people.
very
I
bad.
would never. No, I really would never.
No.
I like
Um,
cats. Why do you think I'm not a cat person?
I
I
don't think
love
you're not
I
a cat.
love dogs, but you know I love cats. We have a photo that's proof that I love cats that
Okay,
will
maybe a little too much.
never be seen at anybody. I wanna throw it out, but it's so funny. I'm keeping it.
You're definitely a cat person.
Or maybe your cats are a Edie person is more like it. I think never mind, we're not gonna talk about it because you're not gonna see the photo. I'm never gonna show that photo to anybody.
Okay, anyways,
Anybody. Nick is the only person and Rachel, I
Rachel.
think also Nick and Rachel are the
Yeah.
only 2 that were gonna see it because they were there when it was taken.
Yeah, anyways, the whole point is like Microsoft closed these studios and has basically shot themselves in the foot
Right.
because when they did it, you could just feel the internet suddenly turn against Phil Spencer and Xbox of
Right.
like
Right.
now
Right.
I was so there was an article on Kotaku that was like, it's time to stop giving Phil Spencer a pass. But then
Right.
I
Free pass
also
because
found
he's a gamer.
an article from a month ago on Video Game Chronicles that was Phil Spencer, long cast as Xbox's savior, may be remembered as the one who killed it.
Mhm.
So like this is all coming up very, very hard.
What is
Um
this Peralt
Pearl Bluebeard.
Bluebeard? You look
I
this
have
up. I
no
can't look.
idea.
It might be AC Ray
Um
losing his mind.
But yeah, suddenly people are like, you know what? Phil Spencer has been talking for years about how, Xbox is right around the corner. Oh man, the stuff we have coming up is going to be great. Like, you can only say that for so
Right,
long.
right.
And it's like, and what's crazy is, uh, uh, you know, they've talked about how I saw an article also on Kotaku. As part of its messaging during these closures, the head of Xbox Studios, Matt Booty, told the affected teams these changes are grounded in prioritizing high impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games.
Mhm.
That word, high impact, they want the high impact games on Game Pass. That goes back to my big worry way back when they
Okay.
first announced they were going to buy Activision.
Mhm.
And I said, I don't want Game Pass to become Xbox's subscription service. Well, basically,
Yeah.
now that they have Call of Duty and all the stuff from Activision, they're just going to put those on Game Pass. And all of a sudden, you're going to see all the fun indie games start to dry up because
Mhm.
Xbox isn't going to want to, churn out the fee
Right.
for them. But they're just going to put all their internal stuff on it. And this word of like, oh, we want to prioritize high impact games. That's kind of what it feels like of, oh, we just want the big Bethesda stuff. We don't want the small things. We actually don't want Hi-Fi Rush or Pentiment, even though those are the best things that have come out of
But he said a
Xbox
day
Studios.
afterwards, a day afterwards. Thank you for that article
But
that
like
you
that's
linked.
what
That
he's
literally the day afterwards, they're like, no, we want small, high impact games, like small,
that's what he says. But
critically
honestly,
acclaimed, award winning prestige games.
I don't think Xbox knows what it wants.
Oh,
I think
I agree.
what happened in retrospect is that Phil Spencer made some pretty big like bets on the future of the industry. Basically, he bet on streaming and Game Pass.
Mhm.
And so while like the industry was kind of going that way, he wanted to go a little bit off to the side, try something a little different in the hopes that it opens up an entirely new market.
Right.
And it seems like streaming just kind of died in the crib,
It did.
right? It never really took off. Um, Game Pass did take off and it was really well received. People like it, but it plateaued way earlier than they were expecting. They wanted to get like 90 million subscribers. They wanted to be at least at the level that Disney Plus is,
Mhm.
but it plateaued around 30 million, which is nowhere near enough to justify
The
all
cost.
the money they're putting into it. And then Xbox goes and buys Activision.
Mhm.
And at the time the deal was offered and at the time the deal went through, that was like 2 years. And a lot changed in those 2 years. Well, basically,
Yep.
now that they spent all that money propping up a kind of floundering subscription service,
Mhm.
like at a certain point, Microsoft then goes, "Hey, we need to stop subsidizing you." Right? Because Phil Spencer previously was out there talking so much about growth. Like, I don't have the freedom, I don't have the privilege to be running a company that's not about profit, that can't be
Right.
profit on its own.
Right.
And I think a lot of that comes from you just convinced, Satya Natella. I don't know how to pronounce his name. The CEO of Xbox, no, Microsoft. It's like
Yeah.
SN.
Yeah.
He just convinced him to give Spencer $80 billion.
Satya Nadella.
Nadella. Okay.
It's
Sad
like Nutella, but it's Nadella. You
Sada? Sadya.
Satya.
Satya.
Satya
Satya
Nadella.
Nadella.
Satya Nadella.
Yeah. So he just gave Phil Spencer $80 billion and it's probably like, what do you have to show for it? And Phil's like, not much.
Yeah.
And it just feels like Phil made a bunch of bets that didn't pan out. And it's like,
Now it's panic mode.
yeah, now all the chickens are coming home to roost.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because like the gambles he made weren't terrible, right? They were understandable things. They were good ideas,
Mhm.
but the market just wasn't interested in them.
Right.
And unfortunately, while he was focusing on those, Xbox Studios still wasn't able to get out of the Don Matrick mode, right? They still haven't really figured out how to launch games consistently.
Yeah. By the way, I just got a text from Chaos. And
Okay.
I actually wanted to bring this up during the "What are you playing?" or maybe even at the ending, but since he just texted me about it, I don't know if he's even watching. He says, "If neither of you have played it,
Mm,
Hades 2 dropped in early access this week, and for EA, it is fucking amazing." That is what I've heard, and
yeah, that was
I
that was a
am
news story.
thinking about it is a news story because 'cause I'm
I was
actually
gonna
thinking about
bring it up
downloading
in
it.
the end.
Yeah, thinking about downloading it.
Okay. I mean, you could also just download the first game and play that. It's very similar from what I've seen.
Yeah, but I'd still like to play the more current one if I'm
Mm,
gonna play it. If it's similar, I might as well play the most current one. It's not like I'm gonna be lost.
true.
Anyway, so yeah, back to the story.
Yes.
Hi-Fi Rush, Redfall Studios.
Yeah, Xbox just like doesn't really quite know what it's doing, and now it's become really, really top heavy with the Activision and trying to justify the spend of $80 billion. I saw news stories that they're still debating whether or not to put Call of Duty on Game Pass,
Mhm.
which, is something you think they would have figured out in the 2 years that they
Right.
were arguing about it.
So, I remember back in the day, do you Xbox started and then they created the Xbox Live service, right?
Hmm.
And they were all about indie games, and they bought a ton of indie studios. That essentially was going to be like, if you wanted a AAA game, you went out and bought the game on a disc. But the Xbox Live service was where you would find 99-cent
Yeah,
games. Remember
it
Bumper
opened.
Truck?
Yeah, it opened up downloadable games, and then their
Right,
whole
but it
like
was all super small
super
games.
super
It was
indie.
Yeah, it was the equivalent of, like, the
It
App Store, the Apple App Store
Well, it was
in the
better.
early days where it was
It
like
was the
99
early
cents,
version of
a
itch.io.
dollar. Yeah,
Like,
it
it
was.
wasn't the App Store, it was itch.io.
Yeah, and it was super, super small, and they acquired a ton of these little micro studios to put out these little games that were going to be anywhere from, a 99 cents to 4.99.
Yeah, well, I don't even think they had to acquire those studios. They just
They
gave
did.
people the ability to publish on Xbox.
Right, that was the first move. Then they started buying all these little studios, and they were on a spending spree where they bought tiny studio after tiny studio after tiny studio, and then Matrick came in and closed them all. We don't want to own these studios. They looked at it and said, "Hey, this is costing us a lot. Yeah, we'll just do it. We'll just get rid of it." So they bought all the studios, and then they closed all the studios. And then they were working under that with Matrick, and under Matrick, when Matrick was gone, Phil Spencer got the reins and says, "Okay, I'm gonna start buying studios again." And it was a bunch of little studios, a bunch of little studios. They were acquiring, and then all of a sudden now they're acquiring big studios,
Mhm.
and now they're closing all the little studios again.
Well, because
And
I
they do
think
this. It's like Microsoft buying a studio is like a kiss of death. Anywhere from 3 to 5 years, you're done for if you're bought by Microsoft. And honestly, at this point, I would say you're safer if you are owned or currently owned by Embracer. You probably have a better chance of existing if you are a small to medium-sized studio than if you were owned by Microsoft at this point.
I don't know, that's tough. But
'Cause
I think
they've already done all the closing that they can.
well, yes,
They've
at this point in time.
they've sorted out. I said that they were gonna sort their shit out, and they did. They've sorted their shit out, and they actually have a good plan for the future. Did it fuck over a lot of studios? Yeah, but it didn't make them. It put some out of business, it sold some of them, and it kinda saddled a bunch of them with debt that's gonna be acquired by somebody else. So they're going to live, but they're gonna have a challenge to get
Yeah.
there.
Well, I
And
think
it made the rest
Microsoft
of what's
bought all
left
those
super company.
studios. I think Microsoft bought all those studios specifically to goose Game
To
Pass.
goose Game Pass. Well,
That's why they
in
did
the
it.
same way that they wanted to goose Xbox Live.
Yeah.
They wanted to goose the Xbox Live store, so they bought all those studios to goose it, and then the next person came in and killed it all. And then they got to digital downloading. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, and what they've realized now is they bought the
They got to
studios to
digital
goose Game
downloading.
Pass,
Yeah.
but Game Pass didn't grow with all those
Right.
geese.
Right. Right. And then they got big games in the same way that before it was all the little games that was like building
Mhm.
this new platform. And then they got big games and they got rid of all the little ones. Same thing. Now they had little games on Game Pass, if that's what it's primarily known for. Then they began to buy these giant studios, and now they're getting rid of the little ones because now is that, like you said, this is going to be their subscription service for their in-house games. This is where you're going to get all the Bethesda games, all the Activision games, all of the other studios that are still owned by them, ZeniMax, all of that. It's all going to be on Game Pass, and you're going to have to they're probably going to change, mark my word, the tier system, where you're not going to have access to all the games on the medium or low tier. If you want the actual best games and the top games, and you want them even early, like the first 3 months, you're gonna have to buy the premium pass.
Honestly, I would be okay with that because the way the system is now, you have to have Game Pass Ultimate to play online.
Right.
Like to play any multiplayer game online, you need
Oh,
Game Pass
that's never gonna
Ultimate.
change. That's never gonna change.
And I actually stopped subscribing to Game Pass a couple months back just because I wasn't using it.
Yeah, I really should too because I'm not either.
But like I would love to play Little Kitty Big City because it looks like a fun cat goose game, like
Mhm.
Untitled Goose Game. But oh wait, I just lost my train of thought.
AC Ray says, "How long does Double Fine have? Will they go
Oh
right
yeah,
back to looking for money?" Yeah. Uh,
and that makes me think like
I
Double
think I
Fine
think they
usually
might they'll
put
flip.
out smaller games at a pretty regular cadence, but they haven't put out anything since Psychonauts 2, and I'm wondering like what are they working on?
I'm wondering why Double Fine wasn't Shuttered and Tango
Be-
was.
well, because Double Fine is probably in the
Oh, they're
middle of
right,
development,
right.
was Tango is like more starting to ramp up.
Yeah.
Also, Double Fine is a bit more beloved. I feel like if they closed that, then the pitchforks would really come out. Like you think
Yeah.
things are bad for Phil now. Wait until he hurts Tim Schafer.
Oh, that's a good point.
The internet's sweet, sweet
Wow.
boy Tim Schafer.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually that would be kind of yeah. That would be, as Hawks might say, skull fucking time in Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah. All right, well, maybe Double Fine is fine. I don't
Well,
know.
for now, until they put out a game,
Where yeah, exactly. Where
right?
we don't even know what they're working on, right? Do
No, I
we?
have no
They haven't
idea.
said anything.
No.
And Psychonauts too, I don't know, I mean, it was good, but I don't know that it sold a ton.
I mean, but so that's also the problem of Game Pass, right? Is
You can't
that
tell.
you don't know what
Mhm.
is a success. Oh,
Right.
Starfield was played by a record number of people on its launch day.
And
But
everybody hated it and
but
never
like
like, never launched it again.
how did that actually translate into money for you?
True, true.
Like I remember Zack Snyder was
Mhm.
on some podcast and he was talking about his new Netflix movie that had come out in December called Rebel Moon. I don't know
Right.
if you heard of it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Like big sci-fi epic, pretty critically panned.
Mhm.
But he was saying like, oh, it got X number of views, and no, he was saying it was watched by more people than Barbie, and that's what he said.
Well, that's like when Slim Whitman said he outsold the Beatles.
And the Verge basically did the math and was like, okay, we can see from like these trackers, it was viewed, I don't know, 80 million times or something, 80 million views. And it's like, well, okay, what is a view? Did they watch it all the way? We don't know. But also, more people can watch it, right? That's one account watching.
Mhm.
If there's multiple people in the household, that's more views. So let's double that number, right? Let's say instead of 80, it's 160 million people. That kind of gets close if you look at the number of tickets Bobby sold. And they basically did the math and was like, you know what? Maybe he's right. He could be right. He could
It's
be.
lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yes. But the larger point is he could be right, but also no one knows because
Right.
a movie comes out on Netflix and it basically kind of enters the void, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't become a cultural thing.
Right.
And
By the way, can I say how angry I am at Netflix right now? One
okay,
of the best shows that they've had in years, like since Stranger Things, by far, and they canceled it.
what was it?
And it was made by the same guy who made Stranger Things. I am not okay with this.
Oh, they canceled that a while ago.
I know. I just found out that they canceled it, and it's like, how could you do that? I went and watched the first season again. I'm like, oh yeah, the new season might be coming out, and I looked and I'm like, it's canceled. What do you mean it's canceled? That was a fantastic freaking show. I loved that show.
I always meant to see it.
You should watch it.
Hmm.
It'll be very frustrating. I'm almost thinking of hunting them down to find out, okay, it's canceled now. Can you tell me how it was going to end? Can you
I believe
tell
it's
me the cliffhanger? It left on a cliffhanger. Can
I
you tell
believe
me
it's
how it ends?
based on a comic. So you could probably
Is
track
it?
down that comic.
Okay. Oh, it's so good. So good. And I don't know why Stranger Things took off and that one didn't. Oh, I know. It's Winona Ryder, and that's why.
No, no. You know
Because it had
why?
a big name.
Because also Stranger Things started at a very different point in the streaming ecosystem,
Yeah,
right? Stranger Things season 1 had different metrics for success than new show season 1 coming out on Netflix
that's true.
today.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Anyway, we're
But yeah,
talking
anyway, the
about
point is like, hey, look, maybe more people watch Rebel Moon, but like, what does that actually mean for Netflix? Was that a success? Did it make money? Like, who knows? And the same goes for Xbox. Like,
Mhm,
from what we can tell, from what I've heard, Starfield was successful, right?
right,
It made money. It was a moderate success, but
right.
it wasn't the huge thing that they were hoping for. It did good, but like we don't know. And so as they debate, should we put Call of Duty on Game Pass? Will that eat into some of our profits? Will that actually goose the numbers of Game Pass? Will we get new accounts? And even then, if we do, maybe we get new accounts for a month and then we fall back down. What does
Mhm.
that mean? That means they just need to put out things once a month, which they seem unable to do. Netflix, at least, give them credit, they pump stuff out. There's a new thing coming out on Netflix every week. There's a new show, big show coming out every month. They've got a pipeline of content to keep you interested in it. Xbox, like that's what streaming needs. And right now, Game Pass is supported by all of the indie games.
There it is. There's the book. So it's actually a book. It's not a comic. It's actually a book.
No, it's a comic. I've seen a comic of it.
Maybe is it a comic?
I've seen it on Comixology.
Yep.
Ah,
Yeah, it is a
yeah,
comic.
yeah.
Oh, damn that. It was so good. You've got to watch it. You really, really do. You have to
Well,
watch
okay. My point was, is there a follow up to that book?
it. I don't know. I will find that out. Director of From the End of the Fucking World, which is a great show, and production team behind Stranger Things. How could they not? I want to know what the metric was, why they didn't continue with that. Is it because nobody watched it? But the reason why nobody watched is they really didn't promote it like they did with Stranger Things because of Winona Ryder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The answer for why does Netflix cancel it is numbers, right? They didn't get the viewers. Whether
Mhm.
those views were realistic or not, we don't know. But like they canceled it all for the same reason.
Yeah. But such a good show. If you haven't watched it, go watch it and be sad that show didn't go on.
Well, I want to. I
And
want to.
the finale is so good.
First,
So good.
I need to
So
finish
good.
Silo, and then I want to watch The Glory.
It's a one book series.
Oh, it is
What is
okay.
you mean
So
it's
I
a book?
wonder.
It's a
I
book.
wonder if the book, a one book series,
A one book series is a book.
does the book end on a cliffhanger as well?
I don't know. Someone might have to read it for us because we don't read. We only play games. um anyway, getting back to the story because we don't want this show to go on for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, Microsoft
Yeah. It
screwed
feels
itself
like.
over, did a dumb thing, and they
Yeah.
it feels like they know what they're doing. And you're right, Phil Spencer needs to finally be given the stop being given the amount of rope that he has been because he's not Don Matrick.
Yeah.
He's
And
he's lived he's survived as long as he had in the good graces of the gaming community because he's not Don Matrick. Really, Don was the best thing that ever happened to Phil. Now, Phil needs to take responsibility for the shit that he's doing now, whether we like him or not. He's not that great.
yeah,
He talks a good talk and he walks a good walk, but he does not deliver all the things that he promised that he
here's
would be
my
delivering.
here's my prediction. Xbox is going to pull a Sega.
In what
Sega
way?
was one of the big hardware manufacturers in
Right?
the 90s, right? It was
Right?
Sega and Nintendo.
Yep. Sega Genesis.
Come Dreamcast era, like the hardware just wasn't doing it.
Right.
And Sega's like, you know what? We're going to stop producing hardware. We're just going to be a publisher.
Mhm.
I think that's what Microsoft is going to do.
They're gonna stop making consoles and just become a publisher?
I don't think they'll stop making
I
consoles
don't
entirely.
they
I
can't
don't think
that put too much money in Game Pass.
that's the beauty. If they can get Game Pass elsewhere, they'll sell an Xbox has a Game Pass box. They won't, hey, you know what? They won't even call it Xbox. They'll call it the Game Pass box.
Okay.
And like this will be for
Here's
your
an interesting thought experiment. What
if
would
you
that look
want
like?
really high-end games, buy the Game Pass Xbox, buy the Game Pass box. Or just get Game Pass for PC. Or just get Game Pass on your phone to play
Or
any
get
game.
Game Pass on your Samsung television.
Yeah, that's what their goal was.
Hmm.
And I can imagine them, like I said, they don't want to pull out completely from hardware, but the hardware has been declining year over year so much. If they stop doing it, like who's gonna notice? I think they're
Man,
still gonna
that would leave only Sony and Nintendo.
Sony and Nintendo.
There would be no
Mhm.
American console maker. It would be 100% all, like, legitimate consoles being Japanese.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wanna live in a world like that.
That's what I'm predicting that
That's
Microsoft.
very scary
I
monopoly. That
I
is a
don't think
very because Nintendo and PlayStation do not compete for the same people at all. It's
no,
not
they
the
don't, not
same
really.
players. So,
Yeah.
really, it is giving a PlayStation, so Sony, a complete monopoly on
Oh,
the
the high-end console market.
hardcore high-end consoles
Well,
players.
I guess they would still be competing with PC.
Yeah, but
Competing until they put their games out on PC as well.
PC players and console players are not the same. PC players won't go to console. I mean, console players probably won't go to PC. You either play in a console or you play in a PC,
Yeah.
generally speaking.
Yeah.
So,
But I basically
oh
see
man,
Microsoft,
I don't like that's a terrifying that's a
it's not gonna be a
terrifying
Band-Aid,
idea
right? It's not
because
gonna be a thing that happens suddenly. It's gonna be something that happens slowly over time. They're just gonna slowly de-emphasize hardware. They're gonna put out a streaming box, instead of one that they have to invest a lot of
the
money into hardware
the
infrastructure.
Series S, they've
Yeah,
already done it, the
yeah,
Series
they're gonna
S.
put out a streaming box. We saw leaks that they were gonna do that today. Depending on how that goes, maybe the next Xbox is a
Okay.
little less on the hardware side and more about streaming. And maybe that streaming box gets smaller and smaller until it gets small enough that you can plug it into the back of a TV as a little Chromecast-esque dongle, and then you get your Xbox there.
And what that's terrifying because what will happen is that Sony has a monopoly. The only reason why PlayStations are the price they are now is because they're trying desperately to compete to not be horribly undersold by Microsoft. The Xbox is cheaper than the PlayStation 5 this
Mhm.
time. But even going back to the PS3, that was why the PS3 failed so marvelously
Yeah.
compared to the Xbox 360 because the Xbox 360 so underpriced and so powerful compared to the PlayStation 3 was by far a superior machine, but it was like $300 $400 more expensive.
Yeah, I think it was like 300 more expensive. It was $600
$600 in
back
that
in 2010
2010
times.
money. That and I remember I was there. I was not at E3, but I was in Los Angeles watching it at we had a big like Gamer Andy had a big event down in an arcade there. We were watching it all live. And that price came up and the audible gasp that went up in that room of like
Mm,
like no one could breathe for a second because we realized that they had made a horrible decision. And I think everyone in the audience knew. I remember hearing the audience having a an audible reaction to that price. And Sony, the only reason why they haven't made that mistake again is because of Xbox being there. The only reason why it was a mistake was because Xbox was there to undercut them and keep them honest.
So, okay, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
And Phil has talked about, this industry isn't growing, right? It's not growing, and we need growth to
Right.
justify all this stuff. Blah blah blah. Like, okay,
Right.
even Sony said, like, hey, we made Spider-Man 2 for $300 million. We need to like sell record numbers just to break even.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do that when you only put it out on like one console. So it's like,
Right.
okay, all this talk about how gaming has kind of hit this user base cap.
Mm-hmm.
There's another industry that has kind of done that. Movie theaters. The number of people
Yep.
going to theaters has dropped significantly. So what the theaters have done is kind of retrofitted themselves into a high-end, like nice
A
night
luxury.
out. Yeah, you
I
can
went to
get
go see Planet
super
of the Apes.
suites.
There was a heated seat, and that thing got turned on, and I'm like, "Am I having a hot flash?" And I realized, "Oh god, that's heated seats, and it's all motorized,
They've
and
got
it was."
They sell pizzas and hamburgers and
Yeah.
chicken tenders in there. They want to do it
The
like
little
upscale.
Cremate, not the Cremate, the, Parkway Theater that
Mm,
they were the ones that did it first. All these old retro theaters that were completely ratchet, and they were doing third run movies, and people loved them because you could get pizza and beer and
mhm,
watch it sitting in couches and like lazy boys. Just they pull out the seats and put in lazy boys. And the
yeah.
place smelled bad and it was awesome. We loved it. Loved it.
Has the people that go to has the number of people that go to a theater went down?
Uh-huh.
They were like, well, we need to squeeze more out of the people that go.
Mhm.
If gaming is going in a similar direction, if we take what the C-suite executives say at face value,
Right.
I could see Sony putting out a console that's like
But it's a luxury console.
$700 because they're going to promote it as this is a luxury thing. This is a
Luxury item.
high-end console. This is for the
Everybody else
crazy
drinks. Right.
people,
This is for the serious players, the
this
ones
is
that
for the
want 0
serious
lag.
gamers. Everyone else can play on their phone.
Mhm. But
And
you've
it,
got a console.
yeah, and that
It'd be
might
the equivalent of
be.
having your own, like, movie theater in your house.
Yeah. It's like you have the high-end $700 PlayStation 6.
Right.
You've got the $300 Nintendo Switch Up, Nintendo Switch S, Nintendo Switch Pro, whatever they do with it. And then you've got Microsoft being, "Hey, get all Game Pass dongle
Mhm.
and you can stream games to your TV."
Yeah.
Or like I said, I still imagine Xbox will put out a high-end box, but I imagine like it'll decrease in power and cost like over time.
Right. AC Ray says, "Meanwhile, Three Body Problem hasn't confirmed a second season or
Oh,
has?"
they have not, which is an annoying
With its
thing of
nothing
like,
of a season 1 ending.
well, it's a Lost like show. It's a Game of Thrones like show where hey, season 1 ended with the promise of more story.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm
I'm
not
okay.
okay with this.
Yeah, but what's crazy, and I don't know what Netflix
For the
is
people who
doing.
buy video cards for 8K monitors, in other words, nobody I need to bother with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Except now that mentality is going to come to console games.
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
But yeah,
Don't
about
like
the
it a
three
bit.
body problem, like
Don't like it.
they're working on season 2. They have people writing it. They have director set. They're building sets, but it has not been confirmed. And I don't know like what Netflix is waiting for, if they're trying to work out some deal with the showrunners.
I can't believe there's
It's
not gonna be man, that's right up there with Firefly. I'm not okay with this. Right up there
mm.
with Firefly.
To be
Of,
fair,
like,
at least
really
Firefly
a a a
ended on like kind of
travesty.
a Firefly at least ended on kind of a more general the adventure continues ending.
No,
Right?
it didn't.
It wasn't
No.
a
No.
direct
No.
cliffhanger.
No. It wasn't like a direct cliffhanger, but there was like, something was happening, somebody was breaking in, essentially. Somebody was
No,
breaking
yeah,
in
someone
to
breaking into the
hunt
ship.
down Summer.
Yeah, the last episode was like a bounty hunter breaking into the ship and like they defeated the bounty hunter, and it ended with um
That's true. I forgot
what
about that.
was I forget her name, Summer Glau.
Yeah, Summer Glau.
What was her
What was
name?
her name? Yeah, I only know her.
I thought you just
Yeah,
said it.
yeah. No, I said Summer. Summer
Oh,
Glau.
anyways, Summer and Mal like kind of forming a bond, and it's the first time in the show where it was like, oh, they actually kind of had a friendship, and it ended
Mhm.
on that moment of, oh, these two are getting closer to each other, and
Yeah.
like it's like, ah, that's a pleasant way to end.
But yeah, no, I'm not okay with this. It ends on a direct cliffhanger. So
No, I thought the bond was in the show as well.
no, no, I'm talking
The
about I'm
movie
not
ended
okay with this.
Firefly. No,
I am not okay with this.
AC Wraith was
Oh,
talking about the movie ended Firefly after the cancellation. The bond was in the movie.
mhm.
I thought that was
I just remember him being like, "How could you end it like this? Like, this was a cliffhanger." So I was trusting you to remember. It's been a while. Anyway, you know what? Let's move on to the next
yes,
item.
yes,
And
indeed.
I am going to step away because I need to get a sweater because believe it or not, my house is freezing after it being like a horrible. By the way, did you see any Northern Lights?
Mm-mm.
I didn't either. I really should have. I mean, I'm the astrophotographer. I should have been out on a hill somewhere filming the sky, but I didn't. I'm an idiot. But uh yeah, it was super hot all weekend and now I'm in my house. All my windows are open because it's been hot and I'm freezing. So I'm going to go put on a sweater. So, go ahead and hit your next item.
Okay, so wait, I'm reading a summary of the last episode of Firefly now.
Okay. All right.
Let's see.
The
The
pilot
friendship
scene movie.
the friendship restored. Kaylee and River played Jax while Kaylee reacts
River.
to a racy anecdote from her past. River picks up and examines the bouncing ball with its swirling multicolored surface as she drops it on the floor. Early, quietly floating through space as his oxygen supply slowly runs out, mutters to himself, well, here I am. Okay, who was Early?
Early I think was the bounty hunter.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't end with her and Mal forming a bond. It ends with her and Kaylee playing Jax. Yeah, late in the infirmary, Simon
And
carefully
then there
guides
was
Zoe
the
and Wash how they treat a bullet wound, and Nora walks away from Mal as he tries to explain her cut lip. In the cargo bay, Jane mocks Book's failure to defeat Early. Book implies that he fought Early and only succumbed after a prolonged fight. Yeah, the friendship restored. So it ends on a moment of the team coming together and forming a bond,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't end with a cliffhanger. It ends with like a moment of togetherness.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go get a sweater. You go talked about the next episode.
Okay, what is my next thing?
I don't know. It's up to you. Do
Is
you
there a
have one?
next thing? Do
You
I have a next thing?
you don't have fucker. You don't have one.
No, I do. I'm looking through because I know there was a bunch of stuff on Discord. Okay. Yes, yes. Here's a couple good
Here we go.
things.
How about this one? That's you, not me.
Where?
Hades 2 enters early
Oh yeah,
access next
yeah.
over. So
That was
that's
one thing I
you.
was gonna mention.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
Hades 2 came out and it's kind of taken over the internet. Every streamer is playing Hades 2. Uh Basically it it's blown up so much that I think it's easy to forget that it's an early access game. And I have no idea how long it's planning to spend in early access. I believe the first game was in it for about a year with pretty consistent updates throughout. And so it's just kind of really interesting to see this thing blow up so much when, technically it's not even out. Technically it's not even finished. It's but people are so excited to play it, and from all accounts, like it's actually genuinely good and improves upon the formula, even if it's a bit more of the same. It improves upon it that gets people coming back more and more, which is just kind of crazy. What else do I have? Nintendo, actually. Nintendo has gone out of the way to not talk about the Switch 2 for months. I mean, hell, for years. But they have at least now acknowledged its existence, even if they did it kind of obliquely. Basically, they said that uh, they will not talk about the Switch 2, or they will not talk about the successor to the Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. And they said that as part of an investor meeting this week. Basically, to say, don't expect us to talk about the Switch 2 in this investor meeting, but we will talk about it this fiscal year, which is a breadcrumb of information. It's something, it's at least Nintendo acknowledging that there is a Switch successor. And this is coming after a whole bunch of leaks about what it could be. And a lot of those leaks seem pretty cool. Let's see if I can find some of them. Yeah, for some rumors, it'll have an 8-inch LCD screen, which is a pretty big size for that console. And it will have magnetic Joy-Cons. So instead of using these slots, like the kind of steel slots that click in, it'll be really powerful magnets that stick together, which just could be a cool way. It depends on how it's made. And also, apparently, it will have a better processor to play things really well, but it will be clocked really low when undocked in order to boost its battery life. And that's interesting because that could mean that there's a significant difference in processing between docked and undocked mode, which, yes, there is a difference right now with the Switch, but it's not, it's noticeable, but not super. It doesn't like affect the development of games. But if the Switch 2 has rumored will be clocked crazy low when undocked, then that might mean, yeah, it gets better battery life, but that might mean that you can't play the next Zelda game undocked,
Mm-hmm.
which I can't imagine Nintendo would do, but we'll have to see. And we won't know at the next investor meeting, but we will know by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Basically, people expect Nintendo to make an announcement sometime in the summer or fall when there's usually all the big video game announcements.
Yeah. Um, let's see. All right. So my next item is Marvel. Marvel is coming out with Marvel Rivals
Oh
very
yeah.
soon. And they opened they offered they're having a closed alpha, and they offered up keys for influencers and reviewers and streamers and stuff. And they had to sign a contract, which is not unheard of. That includes, the standard stuff. Non-disclosure generally is the biggest part. But there was one extra part in this one. It was called the non-disparagement clause. A non-disparagement clause that says this you couldn't disparage Marvel Rivals. And this
Hmm.
includes, but is not limited to, this is the quote, includes, but is not limited to, making disparaging or satirical comments about any game related material, such as game features, characters, or music, and, quote, engaging in malicious comparisons with competitors or belittling the gameplay or differences of Marvel Rivals, or providing subjective negative reviews of the game.
Huh. So you can
Can
play
you
this
not
alpha.
have a review? What's a subjective? What's an objective negative review? By definition, an opinion is subjective.
No, no. If it's negative, it's subjective. If it's positive, that's just
It's
a
objective.
fact.
Right, right,
That's a
right,
yeah.
right, right. So it's essentially it's a muzzle. It's in order for these keys for these to acquire these keys, which a lot of these influencers didn't even bother to read. There was a big section that said to get access to playtest, you have to essentially be muzzled
Yeah, you can't say anything
you
bad
can't
about
say
it.
anything bad about it. You have to only say good things. And that's so upsetting because this is a really, really bad look. Here's the thing. They can't say anything bad about the game, but they could sure as hell say something bad about the contract, and the
Mm,
contract reflects on the game because
yes.
Marvel is already reeling from one of the biggest flops in, I don't say game, possibly gaming history, but a notorious, expensive gaming flop that
Flop.
was Marvel Avengers.
Oh, no. No one cares about Avengers anymore. Suicide Squad is the new poster
And then
child.
Suicide Squad.
Marvel's Avengers is like people look back on that with fondness.
So, if only
If
Suicide Squad
only
as
Suicide
bad
Squad.
as
Yeah.
Avengers. Yeah, exactly. They have had 2 really epic, notorious,
No, that's
enraging
DC.
fights.
Suicide Squad was DC.
It's true. But Marvel Avengers, still bad.
Yeah. But
So,
but
the fact that
Spider-Man, huge.
Spider-Man huge, but the fact that, well, was it Marvel Rivals sounds more like Marvel Avengers than it does Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
Yeah. Spider-Man is made by a respected studio.
Yeah.
Marvel
Dark
Rivals is like, I don't know, it's Disney trying to make an Overwatch ripoff.
That's what it is. It's an Overwatch game with Marvel characters. But that contract, it's like, what are you hiding? What are you hiding? It by definition puts especially because it's Marvel, especially because of Avengers, it's putting everybody's radar on like 11, looking for like, oh, this is going to be a bad game. If you're worried about negative opinions in the early alpha playtest, that your closed alpha playtest so bad that they would put that negative disparagement clause, it's like the Streisand effect.
Yeah.
Everybody now thinks that the game is horrible because they are trying to keep everybody talking about how horrible it is.
Yeah. When you say, please don't say anything bad, the immediate thought is,
How
boy,
bad?
there must be how
Must be
bad.
something really bad in there.
Yeah. That must be you must
Whatever you
expect
do,
a lot of
don't
bad.
mention the war. War? What war?
Yeah. Wait, what war? Oh no, never mind. Forget about it. Wait.
Forget it. Forget I said anything. Forget I said anything. Just don't mention the war.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, man, you just have to wonder, like, how do these people not have PR people? Or like who slept with who to get that job? Because
Or maybe the game really is that bad.
maybe the game is that's true. That's true. They looked at it like, well, we could be be a Streisand effect, or we could actually be protecting ourselves
Mhm.
because it is that bad. Yeah. So, all right. But bottom line, it is that's kind of scary. Um, as noted by Eurogamer in the FAQs of the thing, in the game's Discord server says that no non-disclosure agreement for our closed alpha test, which is not true. And players are, quote, encouraged to share their experiences of all types of content on all platforms. So, yeah. It's very, very odd wording. It is very unethical, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, and it's very suspicious. Total sus. So, what did I just miss on my, I guess got an alert, and it's the alert that would say
Like a big alert?
somebody in my office and they heard a dog. All right, just keep talking. I see, find out
Okay.
who's in my office on a Sunday.
I have a couple news stories that I did not make banners for because I forgot.
Mhm.
Um, Activision Blizzard last year was sued
Okay.
by Acceleration Bay over what sounds like kind of weirdly vague patents that relate to Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. Um, the most I could find was something about this on GameSpot.
Mhm.
Ezio in the chat put this into Discord.
Mhm.
They were sued over technology that, quote, allows simultaneous sharing of information online between widely distributed computers, which is, kind of a core thing of Call of Duty and WoW,
Everything.
but that also sounds like it could go for everything.
Everything.
So I don't know exactly what the specifics are that made Acceleration Bay target Activision Blizzard. I guess the
Mhm.
patents were originally held by Boeing, and then they were acquired by Acceleration Bay. But Activision
Boeing,
Blizzard,
really? Oh, wait a minute. Hold a second. That was owned by Boeing?
they were originally held by Boeing
So
before
Boeing
being sold to Acceleration Bay.
they were filed by Boeing.
Yes. Well, I don't know if they were filed, but they were originally held.
That would be they filed for it because they created the tech, and then they sold
Okay.
the patent to who? What was the other one?
Acceleration Bay. Yeah. And so,
I wonder what they were thinking, what Boeing was working on.
yeah.
That's very
But
strange. All right,
whatever it
anyway.
is, Activision Blizzard lost. And they now owe, let's see,
No,
about
really?
$5.5 million for the Call of Duty games and 18 million for Warcraft. So about 23.5 in damages in total.
But
Naturally, they've talked about appealing it.
yeah, they need to appeal because Activision is just going to be the first. This is going to absolutely roll through the industry because that's everything. Every company,
I mean,
every online company does
it
that.
depends on what the specifics of this patent are.
I'm going to look into that. It's a patent troll, is what it is. Patent troll.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's kind of scary. I would watch that carefully. I have a feeling that is going to get appealed because how did they lose that? How did they lose that?
Yeah, simultaneous sharing of information. That's all we have. That's even IGN is saying the same thing.
That's every multiplayer game ever made. And some non-multiplayer games, arguably.
Yeah. Also, apparently this has been going on for 8 years. This case has been dragged out.
Wow. That's kind of big. I think that's something that I'm gonna have to look into, and that's the kind of rabbit hole I will drop into and never come out of. So you'll be glad to know that I will go into that. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to look at that. There's no war in Bossing Say, the Avatar. Thank you. Yeah, there's no war in Bossing Say. I was actually referring to something even older. That was a Faulty Tower skit. Thank you very much.
Okay. I think I have the specifics of what the patent did.
Okay.
Use precise geolocation data, actively scan device characteristics for identification, store and access information on a device, provide personalized ads and content, ad and content measurement, audience insights, and product development, use limited data to select content. And someone on Reddit basically said, in layman terms, let us stalk you, see what's on your PC, put stuff on your PC, and send intrusive ads.
Call of Duty did that? I mean, it's not surprising that Activision did that, but
also, does it really seem outside the realm
it
of
doesn't seem like
possibility?
outside of realm of possibility, but I'm surprised to find out that it actually got sued for it. That it's like such a fact that it's like they couldn't win by saying, no, we don't.
Yeah.
That clearly wasn't the defense that worked.
But also, like, even when you get that specific, it's still something that applies to a lot of games.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it does. It does not just a lot of games, a lot of everything.
Yeah, a lot of things.
TikTok, Facebook, Google, anything. They all do that. Yeah. Everything does that.
Scan your computer. What are you doing? Let's
geolocate. Right. Where are you? Geolocate you. Where are you? What you doing? What you thinking about? What was the last thing you tried to buy? Interesting. I agree. This is going to be a thing that is going to be appealed. I'm definitely going to look into this now. All right. So my next item is Let's see. What do I have? What do I have? What do I have? I talked about Ghost of Tsushima. Activision sued. Is that it? That's I know I must have one more. I'm sure I have one more. We talked about Helldivers and Hi-Fi Rush and Microsoft. Oh, my last item, which I don't have a banner for. Let me get a banner here. Okay, so Dragon Age Dreadwolf.
Oh, I forget where I saw it.
Oh, I mean
Maybe
2025.
maybe it was Luke Stevens, but basically saying, I think Dreadwolf is the next Starfield.
I'm not I fear that as well. He thinks it, I fear it. I very much fear that Dreadwolf is the next Starfield. But yeah, EA released its fourth quarter and full year 2024 fiscal results. And they noted that they had 2 unannounced titles slated to be released by March 2025. March 31st, 2025 is the end of the 2024 fiscal year. So they're talking about fiscal 2024. One of the games they said is a partner title. The other is a quote owned IP title. And according to Eurogamer, that game is Dreadwolf.
That's soon.
Yeah, that's very soon, which is either means really good things that they so confident that they don't need to talk about it, or it means really bad things that it's going to be a hot shit sandwich. Not
It's
really
going to be
quite
a
sure.
skull and bones if we just need to get this out.
I'm so afraid.
Huh.
I'm so afraid because
Well,
this just
if it's coming out that soon, that means that they've got to show something this summer.
they've got to show something because we haven't hit like the E3 period, have we?
No, not
It's
yet.
like June. That's
Yeah,
next
that's
month.
June. Yeah.
They're going to have to say something in June. So I guess we're going to know more, but still it's like I'm ready to have my heart broken. It's going to break my heart. I mean,
Hey,
honestly, I'm not that crazy about Dreadwolf anyway because I really didn't like Solus's story, and they were just obviously going full on Solus's story. Was not really interested in it. There were other characters I found far more interesting that I would have rather gone down that road with. But it's Solus. I'm hoping that I've got to play out the story. I've got to keep going because this is my game. This is what Assassin's Creed used to be for you. This is my game now.
I
So
mean,
I've got
look,
to do it.
these things sometimes end. Assassin's Creed stopped doing the cool political commentary and went full mythology.
Yeah.
And it kind of lost something.
Yeah.
At least for me. But then
Nope.
it sold more, so I can't fault them for that.
Right. They did what they had to do, but I just know Dreadwolf's gonna break my heart. I just know it. I knew it almost, I would say a year to 2 years ago that Dreadwolf was gonna break my heart. I'm just kind of bracing myself for it.
Yeah. It can't live up to the years.
It's not that it can't live up to the years. It can. I'm patient. I'm when I like something as much as I like this game, it's like take your time, do it right, give me the game I want. The fact that there were multiple iterations of this game, one of which the developers that made it said it was one of the best things we've ever made, and they scrapped it.
Yeah. That was not a good sign.
Yeah, yeah, that's really not a good sign. And this is what makes me think that it's going to be, and it's EA, it's going to be something live servicey, some kind of bullshittery that's going on that has, I'm screwed. I'm ready to cry. I'm beyond the crying point at this point.
You want to see that battle pass so that you can shake your head and, drop a handful of dirt on the grave.
I have to. I have to. I have to go to the funeral. I have to watch the car accident as it
Wait.
happens.
Hey, AC Wraith said, "What if it's an efficient and well-scoped title that can make its money back?"
Oh, that was a good one. Well done. I haven't heard a joke like that in years. No, it's not going to be that way. Yep, that was his next one.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the next one.
Yeah, not going to happen. Oh, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so
I
bad.
mean, at least
Going to be
we'll be able
so
to
bad.
see it.
Oh, I know, but it's like watching. It would be like watching kittens being drowned. Oh, it's
No,
like not
don't
just
listen to it.
drowning
Don't
them, but
listen to it.
watching somebody else drown your kitten. Oh,
A lot of talk
I'm.
of kitten drowning this
I
episode.
know it is. It's. It's like sending your child in, like your t-ball playing child, and to go against like a World Series Little League team, and you just know that kid's gonna get brained. You just know it. That kid's gonna come out of that game not the same kid that it went in. Not, it could be arms, it could be legs, it could be a traumatic brain injury, but that kid's not coming out with all the same parts it went in. And that's how I feel about this. That my heart is gonna go into this, and it's just gonna come out just broken and to its core. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to love a series again. This is my last hope. It really, really is. It was the thing that kept me going after Mass Effect was the thought of Dragon Age, and now this is happening, and it's just. And I'd love to love again to another one, but I know that this is I'm never gonna be the same. It's gonna scar me. It's gonna scar me, and I'll never be able to love like this again.
I remember I just
I don't even.
read.
Let's not talk about. Let's move
Well,
on.
speaking of
We
EA,
talk about.
I had read
Yeah.
something about Battlefield that I forgot to put in there,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to find exactly the words. Um, Basically, it looks like on an earnings call, uh, the EA CEO Andrew Wilson was hyping up that the next Battlefield is going to be made by the biggest team in the franchise's history. And the company. Let's see. I spent a whole bunch of time with Collective Battlefield, calling the next game another tremendous live service, which obviously triggered a bunch of people. Yeah. And then he talked about advertising. Yes, they want to put advertising into games. Advertising has an opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for us. We have teams internally in the company right now looking at how we do very thoughtful implementations inside of our game experiences. So, basically talking about how the next Battlefield is going to be made by the biggest people ever, which I don't know if that was Battlefield's problem.
Mm-mm.
But then he also said it's going to be a live service game, which at this point I feel like is to
It
be
is.
expected
Yeah.
for a multiplayer game.
That makes sense
But also,
for Battlefield, I could see it being a
yes.
that makes sense. For a Battlefield, Call of Duty, actually live service does make sense.
Yeah. But they also said that they're looking at putting ads into their games. So, hey, if that means I could blow up a billboard of
What did he say?
Gatorade, I would do that.
After calling the next Battlefield another tremendous live service, EA CEO threatens to put ads in AAA games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you could put all the ads in there you want. Would anybody ever buy any ads
I don't know.
for something like that? I mean,
I don't even notice it.
consumers are now very aware that they can boycott a brand into changing its ways.
But also like I remember when Alan Wake first came out and people made such a big deal about how I forget what battery it was. It was either Duracell or Energizer. But
it was. I don't know now either.
Yeah, it's like, they put Duracell batteries in there. This advertising is so in your face.
It was Duracell, I'm pretty sure.
But but it wasn't in your face. And
No,
you
it
picked up a
wasn't.
batteries, they were Duracell batteries, and I'm like, "Hey, good, I got more batteries." God, these things run out really fast. And, like, I
Because
imagine
yeah, if they put in
in a
like if it was Duracell battery was like the one battery that had extra life to it, that would have
oh,
been
that would be bad.
advertising. That would
Yes.
be, yeah.
But, like, I imagine all these racing games with billboards, if you do, like, some sort of live advertising service and you put ads for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes in, you know, Forza at
Mhm,
this time, and
mhm.
I'm driving and I see a billboard for Planet of the Apes, I'm not really looking at the billboards, I'm looking at the road ahead of me.
Right, and also, that's what something might look like if you were racing.
Yeah, and so I understand that people, don't want ads pumped at them all the time. Like, that's why I pay for the streaming services that don't have ads.
Oh, it was Energizer, it wasn't
Oh, see,
Duracell.
I don't even remember what the battery was. But, like, the point is, uh, at a certain point, it's okay to have ads and stuff. If it's just a billboard or a thing on the side of the wall, like,
Right,
it's not really that intrusive.
not that intrusive.
So,
No,
depending on how they implement these ads, I don't know. There's a good way to do it and there's an annoying way to
it's
do
a
it.
very fine line between brilliant and stupid.
Yeah. Oh, AC Wraith. Sounds like a missed opportunity to battle a more creepy version of the bunny. That would have made an excellent Alan Wake boss. I can totally see in that game fighting the Energizer
The
Bunny as a
Energizer
boss.
Bunny, right, who keeps stealing the batteries. That's the
Uh-huh.
thing. The Energizer drains the Energizer Bunny drains the batteries in order to keep going and going and going.
Shine a flashlight, burn it away, have it come back, still going.
I keep going and going and going.
Oh, that absolutely fits the tone of a Remedy game.
All right. So, any other items before we go? Because you need
Yes,
to go Mother's Day. Remember this thing that we had to start an hour early for?
yes. No, we're ending, like, exactly within the good time frame.
Okay.
My parents are planning to come over here at 4 o'clock.
Oh, they're coming over to your place.
Yeah. We're making dinner for them.
Wow, that's very grown up of you.
Well, Rachel's gonna make dinner for
There we go. And now the truth comes out.
them. I helped buy the
Peel
salmon.
something? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We still have to do that cooking show where I walk you through cooking something.
Yes.
It will be the most if you wanna see me lose my ever loving mind, it is gonna be me yelling at Nick about how to cut a vegetable the right way or
The thing
like,
is,
"Not no, that
I
oh, no,
generally know
don't you
how to
know
cut
how to
things.
fold an egg? Fold an egg!"
No, I don't know how to fold an egg. What is this
Ugh.
that folding an egg? You can't fold an egg. It's a sphere.
Did you ever see the episode of, Schitt's
Oh,
Creek when they're trying
yes.
to fold, like, fold something into something? What is folding? I don't know what folding is.
I do remember that. Yeah. That was
And I
good.
was watching that scene and I was yelling at them, "You just fold it in!"
I was on their side, like, what does it mean to fold an egg? But I do
That's
have
gonna be so much fun. I'm so looking forward to
I
it.
think I think I will surprise you with how good I am.
I think that we should do it is I will be in your room where you are now. You will be in the kitchen.
Okay.
All right, because that's even gonna drive me more nuts. Because I will be just outside and I'm gonna wanna run in, and I will not be able to. You lock me in this door. Don't open the door, no matter how much I beg. Don't open the door.
Okay, okay.
Lock me in the room and watch me go nuts trying to walk you through it. And then when I'm done, I could actually come out and taste it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could have
yeah,
dinner together.
yeah. Okay, I like that. But yeah, I mean, hell, I bought a GoPro camera for that.
You
So
did.
we should do it because I have the camera.
You do have the camera. And
Mhm.
I actually have also another camera. We could actually have a 2 camera setup.
Yeah.
So I could switch cameras. Like you'd move, I could switch the camera and watch what you're doing. We could
Oh,
have
yeah.
actually I have another
That's good. I
GoPro.
can
So
have
we
I
could
can
have
have
a 3 camera setup.
I can have, like, one on my head. We can have one overview of the kitchen.
Right, right. And then I could just split back and forth.
Yeah,
You know,
we can
like
do our own
so
live.
I could follow you while you're
Yeah.
doing it. So, oh yeah, this
Anyways,
will be good. This will be good.
yes.
But
But I do have one more story.
okay.
Critical Role announced a subscription service. They are starting their own subscription service called Beacon. And it's basically just a bunch of additional things. It says that you get to enjoy your shows ad free, which they kind of already are, or at least the way Critical Role does ads, they're all pretty entertaining. Um, but you get early access to stuff like Critical Role Abridged, The Reslayer's Take, and Midst, which are other shows that they put on the channel. You'll get early access to the Critical Role podcast, which will be available instantly after the initial broadcast, and a new series called Critical Role Cooldown, which is like a post-show reactions as soon as the game ends.
Mhm.
Um, you also get, let's see, pre-sales to live events,
Nice.
private Discord access, and discount on merchandise.
Nice.
So it's a bunch of like added perks, but everything about the show as it exists now is staying the same.
Right.
So basically, if you catch it live on Thursday, you can watch it then. The re-airs come out on YouTube on Monday, and none of that's changing.
Mhm.
Which
That actually
which is
reminds
which
me.
is good because I was reading something the other day about like a YouTube channel that started a subscription service and basically locked all of its content behind that subscription service and lost all their users.
Oh, what was it? That was the YouTube channel. Is ex BuzzFeed people?
Yeah, it was a news one.
Yeah. Where they would look at like go. What was the name of it? Yeah.
I don't remember.
They screwed up.
Yeah.
Bad.
So
Oh,
look,
they screwed
subscription
up
service
bad.
is fine when it's all added bonuses.
Added
And it
bonuses.
looks like that's
It
what they're
takes
doing.
nothing away.
Yes.
So, actually, speaking of added bonuses and taking things away, you reminded me of something that I haven't really researched, but basically, the
Hmm.
Wizards of the Coast fucked up again on the level of the OGL, if not more so. So
Less so, absolutely less so. Still a fuck up, but from what I understand about this.
this is bad. So it was known that the guy that is running, I want to say that is running D&D, has said it is reported that he has said that he wants to kill D&D Beyond, which is the app, the online app, which is incredibly convenient because it saves. It's essentially where you put all of your content. If you want to buy a book, you can buy a book and it's on D&D Beyond. If you need to have characters, you can store your characters in D&D Beyond. If you want to buy a character, you can actually buy individual character stat information from anything. So instead of having to buy all of these hardcover books or buy them digitally and store them elsewhere, the D&D Beyond app is the storage spot. And one of the things that made it incredibly convenient was you didn't have to buy a whole book in order to get certain things. Say you wanted a monster, you didn't have to buy the entire monster guide. Say you were doing your own homebrew stuff. Also, something you could save on D&D Beyond is homebrew. And there was a homebrew sharing section as well. So homebrew players could put up their own homebrew and other people could buy it from them using D&D Beyond as the platform to make the transaction. But you say you wanted to create this homebrew and you wanted a monster from another campaign that was a D&D campaign, but you didn't want to have to buy the whole campaign or the whole book to the tune of $30. You just wanted to buy the monster and the monster stats. You could go on and you could, for $1.99 or somewhere along those lines, buy that monster, or
Yeah.
you could buy just the feats for something, or just a type of character,
You could get
like the
everything a la
artificer.
carte.
Right, you get everything a la carte. That's what they called it, a la carte. Well, World Wizards of the Coast revealed this week that there is going to be an update to the D&D Beyond, and it is no longer going to be a la carte. A la carte is absolutely going away, and you have to buy the books whole. And if you've purchased old characters individually a la carte, and now you need to buy the whole book in order to get something, you get no discount. So the money that you spent is wasted. Now they're not going to take the content away from you because you purchased it, but if you purchase more, you're not going to get any discount. You're just going to have to rebuy the information you already bought plus all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Um, This has the community furious. And unfortunately, what that means is that people are now taking the information for each of these things that they used to be able to get a la carte and making, enough changes to them to make them unique and then putting them up in the homebrew section,
Hmm.
which is what everybody knows is exactly what was planned to do, because then it gives Wizards of the Coast a reason to shut down the homebrew section because they're now
Mm.
pirating D&D information. So it is every time Wizards of the Coast opens up its mouth, it actively shows the community how much it hates them, how much it wants them to either spend thousands of dollars or get the fuck out. I can't imagine how thrilled. Oh, the other thing you could spend in there, Pathfinder, other stuff. Absolutely. Now you can't. They're creating such an opportunity for competition within the tabletop RPG market that
Yeah.
some company with a lot of money can walk in and essentially redo D&D Beyond exactly the way it used to be, and people will join it and do it for some other game, for Call of Cthulhu, for Pathfinder, for any of the other ones.
Yeah, you could open it up. Just
Make
make it. Just
one
make an
that it
app.
adds everything. You can have everything, just a third-party app.
Mm. And AC Wraith in the chat linked to Daggerheart version
Daggerheart.
1.4 updates,
Mhm.
which is the new game system
Yeah,
pushed
actually,
by Critical Role.
this could be the very best thing that has ever happened to Matt Mercer at all, because they're in the position to become the next D&D. And if D&D doesn't think that they can't be toppled, they can. And I'm not sure why Hasbro is so insistent on destroying this IP, to essentially making it irrelevant, especially since it has been so relevant for what, almost 60 years now.
I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier. The tabletop gaming space is relatively small, but
True.
Hasbro needs to keep seeing growth. So Wizards of the Coast is trying to find ways to squeeze more money out of those
But in the
few
process of
people.
squeezing more money, they're actually not. They're actually actively losing money because the only thing that gives them making the money that they have now is the player base, the
But I didn't say
number
they
of
were good
players.
at it.
And the players are gonna walk away and give that money to Matt Mercer.
I didn't say they were good at it, but I think that's their intention.
Why would you want to kill D&D Beyond? Well, I know why they want to kill D&D Beyond is because they want people to buy the hardcover books all the time. And people won't do that anymore. They just won't. So yeah, that's another thing that has absolutely got the community really up in arms, and we will see how that plays out. I doubt they will back down from this one. They backed off of the OGL. I don't think they'll back off at this one.
Yeah, because this one seems smaller than the OGL. This one only affects the players. The OGL affected the developers,
The
the game
developers and
makers.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Yep. Just saying, many more systems to play. He was pointing to Daggerheart. Yep. Daggerheart. Daggerheart is right now perfectly placed. And I'm sure it's just lucky breaks that Critical Role was created based on D&D and got massive and became the biggest thing that has happened to D&D with the exception of Baldur's Gate. And then now they start working on their own RPG, and that while Hasbro is actively sabotaging itself, actively sabotaging and alienating the community. So they are angry, pissed off, and they want to go somewhere else.
It
It's
would
just
be
couldn't be more better timed. I'm
I,
sure that there's part of it that was intentional, but there's a lot that Hasbro is doing in order to make Matt Mercer et al. Very, very rich.
I'm really interested to see what they do with campaign 4 if they stick with D&D as the base game.
I will guarantee you they are not going to stick with campaign. They were
because
not
like
gonna steal
they've
D&D.
got their
Nope,
own game
nope,
coming out with
nope.
Daggerheart.
Makes no sense
Whenever
for
they
them to do it.
do, whenever they do like side stories or like side things, um, they create
Exactly.
new systems.
Right there.
They have like a whole series of Candela Obscura, like a whole series of much shorter campaigns
And Cadilla
around
Obscura,
this.
I yeah, that didn't it was kind of everybody said that was kind of a weird campaign.
Yeah, well, there's like 3 campaigns in
Mhm,
that game that they've put out now, and I think they're on a 4th. But
mhm.
like they're expanding their live play things beyond just the
Right,
D&D
but
system.
Candela Obscura was not D&D. It was
No,
an
but that's what I'm
entirely
saying.
different setting. It was a
Th
tabletop
Oh,
RPG. Th
yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're putting out more and more shows that do this, and,
mhm.
like, whenever they do side stories, it's always some homebrew thing. I'm wondering when does that, if ever, does it feed back into their main campaign?
Yeah, I think campaign 4 is almost guaranteed to be Daggerfall and not D&D. It'd be foolish of them to do D&D. Make no business sense whatsoever for
I
it to
mean,
be D&D.
it kind of does just because it's what a lot of people know, right? And so that allows the viewers to kind of follow along with
Yeah,
fights and things
but
because they know the mechanics of what's going on.
yeah, but at the same
And yeah,
time,
I'm also watching about this
is it the
because
mechanics
I
that makes people watch D&D? Is it the mechanics, really?
well,
Or
it's a matter of being able
is
to
it the
follow
story?
along. But
Is
it's
it the
also
story and the
funny.
characters?
It's also funny because, as AC Ray points out, the current campaign allows for an ending where the Hasbro-owned gods are eaten. I don't know if you've been following
I
campaign
have.
3.
I have been following it. I actually started listening to it. I know I'm like 200 episodes behind, but yeah, I started listening to it.
Yeah.
After I heard what happened to, Fresh Cut Grass, it's like, "Okay,
Mm,
now I wanna find out what's gonna happen, because
yeah.
that made news.
I'm like just a couple episodes behind. I keep up pretty well with it. But
Did
yeah,
you
the current
cry? Did you cry?
I knew it was coming.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah.
um but what was I saying? That's right. The current story is very much like kind of dealing with a Lovecraftian-esque god eater that's like, this cult wants to free this thing that can kill the gods. Should we stop the cult? Do we want to stop the cult? What have the gods ever done for us? We should probably, like, the gods are good. We should probably stick them, but like, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, how can we narratively break from the copyright owned aspects of D&D,
Mhm.
which is like on a meta level a really interesting problem to have.
Yeah,
Really interesting story.
yeah. Anyway, so
Yes.
that's our D&D slash tabletop slash critical role section of the podcast. So, what do you got going this week?
I'm gonna dive deeper into emulation, see how far I can get with that. I've
Okay.
I've pretty much got like a good PlayStation emulator, PS1. I want to try to get PS2 running and see how that goes. It's hard because it's a lot of like, I've got this app, but I need BIOS files and then I need ROMs. I don't know where to get the BIOS files. I found a whole bunch of things on GitHub, but GitHub is just a fucking awful piece of shit website where I don't know how to download stuff off GitHub. Like there's no download link on GitHub. It's so awful. I don't know why people use it. It sucks. Fucking GitHub bastards. But other than that, I'm gonna play a lot of Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be doing some drink. I still gotta finish Baldur's Gate. All, all work and no Baldur's Gate makes Edie a dull girl.
Look, you gotta get to the end at some point.
Yeah,
You passed the choke point.
I did trust the choke. Well, I mean, I'm in a kind of a fight now that is a bit of a choke point, but
Mm,
yeah, I've kind of passed it. I've really gotta finish it. I gotta finish it. We have to finish ours too.
I
I
know.
liked ours more than I liked mine at the end.
I wanna get back to mine. I wanna get back to my
I do too.
campaign.
I
I
do
like
too.
my campaign. I
I
wanna get back to it.
I loved our multiplayer campaign way more.
Yeah.
because we were just like, oh, we're off the beaten path. We are just like, fuck all that. We're just gonna murder everything.
Mhm.
It's great.
It's also it's crazy because, like, okay, for decades, I've always been the player that's like, "Oh, I get to a new map, I want to explore. I wanna
I
go
want to
over
build
there. I wanna go see over
everything.
there. I wanna go see over
Yep.
there."
Yep.
And just for the player that's like, "Oh, they something hits in front of them. I'm gonna follow that path. Oh, something hit, I'm gonna follow that path." Like, it's such a completely different experience. Like,
To
we
just play the game and it's like, you know what? I
yeah,
don't need to see it.
to just
Eh,
play it without this desire to actually find all the
completionist.
side quests,
Yes.
to
Yes.
just let yourself be distracted by the shiny thing in front of you without worrying about what's behind you.
Right. It's right.
It's like,
Because you know what you missed. It's like,
"Oh
I don't
my
need to do that
god."
again. It's
It's
yeah,
like
it's
it's just
very
so
freeing.
it's like, I didn't know people played games like this.
I know. It's so fun because you could just play it organically instead of having to make it like a full-time job, like letting go of your OCD to complete
Yeah,
everything and every corner and, "Oh god, I missed this one chest that I didn't open. I gotta go back like 4 different lands to open the one chest because I missed that." Yeah, just like, don't worry about it. Just go, and the story ends how the story ends. Let it happen.
yeah.
I'm really, really, really enjoying it because also it's like, "Hey, let's just go do something incredibly stupid." Okay.
And
Well,
so
you
I
know it's gonna screw up the game and it's gonna make half the characters leave camp.
yeah.
Yeah?
And
Okay.
part of me is kind of excited to get into Act 3 that I haven't seen with our chaos characters, just
Yeah.
because it's like, I need to let myself be distracted by a shiny thing and not try to do everything and just go, "Oh, yeah, I don't know what I'm missing,
Yeah.
but I know
Right.
I have another game where I could do everything."
Right.
I
Right.
have that safety net.
And I know the decisions that you can or you can make or you can't make. And the thing is that they're big decisions. It says a lot about Baldur's
Yeah.
Gate. They're big
Which
decisions that you can make about either killing somebody or not killing somebody or making friends with them, partnering with them, not partnering with them. There's dozens of those decisions that are in that 3rd act that
and
change everything. And you can do all of them, you could do none of them.
I'm
There
very
is no
interested
decision. There is no one path or even any one decision you have to make.
and I'm very interested to get to that and to encounter those decisions not knowing what the consequences are
And
and,
not
like
caring.
and not caring.
Yeah, just don't care. Don't worry about it. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. Just keep going. What do you not what do you think you should do? What do you wanna do?
Yeah.
Do you wanna kill him? Sure, let's kill him.
I
Will's
I
dad? Let's kill Will's dad. Sure, why not?
I'm a saint of this religion. Who's Will? I don't know Will.
Exa Will who? Anyway. Yes, we gotta get back to that sometime. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
I need to fill Baldur's Gate, but Dragon's Dogma really is calling my name. But I also got a very, 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 very busy week ahead of me.
Mm,
Very busy. My work is accelerating. I think did we talk about that? That I'm being asked to expand what I
yeah.
do,
Expand the scope, not a
scanning the
promotion,
scope.
just more
And I
responsibility.
might end up being, doing the show from Sacramento sometimes
Yeah.
in the future. Don't really know. Lots of things happening in Edie land. Only some of which you know about. All right. So, on that note, do you want to close this out?
Yeah. Well, and on that cliffhanger, like,
On that
like the
cliffhanger.
show.
All
I'm not
right.
okay with this. It's not okay.
I am not okay with
I'm
this.
not okay with this.
I am not okay with this. Yeah, a cliffhanger like the the dark shadow in the corner. Like, okay, what do you want from me? That's actually the cliffhanger. All right, let's close this out.
Okay.
You've been listening. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 716. We recorded this on Sunday, May 12th, 2023, or 2024. I'm Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola. Ways to get a hold of us. GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on Twitch and on YouTube. On Twitch, we are GameHounds Vids. Sorry, no, the GameHounds. On Twitch, we are the GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids. Please feel free to join us. We'd love to have you listen live. And if not, we are, in theory, going to be back doing an actual podcast. Yes, I am going to do that. Maybe I even do it tonight. Put a couple of episodes up since I've downloaded them. Putting a few episodes up on and trying to catch up on our stream on iTunes. So keep an eye out for that if you are one of those podcast listeners. We do this show courtesy of you. We are 100% Patreon sponsored. We don't make any money off of it. We just ask for a little to offset the costs, and that's $1 a month. That's all we ask. That's 25 cents a show for all of this show. And thank you to all of our patrons who are already on board and helping us do this show and have been helping us do this show for the last 14 years. If you would like to join them, it is patreon.com/GameHounds to just put your $1 a month into the jar with everybody else, and so that we can continue to do what we do as long as we can. What's the other thing I need to tell them? Oh, our Discord. Feel free to join our Discord. Our Discord information is on our Twitch page. It is in our YouTube profile. But if you need to see that Discord information right ahead, here is the Discord information. Please feel free to join us. And that's where all of us actually talk all week, chat with each other, share information, share stories. If they're going to have a playthrough or somebody's going to go live, that's where we announce it in the Discord. That's the Discord information down at the bottom of the screen. Nick, have a great Mother's Day. Everybody out there, have a great Mother's Day. Don't forget to call your mother. And if you're a mother, thanks for everything you've done. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And we're out. AC Wraith, once again, thank you for being the world's greatest link bitch. What do I call her?
Yeah, his mom.
Oh, call her and tell her how much you love her. She loves you. You should love her back. All right. So have a great week, AC Wraith, and everybody else who's listening, and in both of our different channels. And we'll see you when we see you next weekend. And
Yes.
if either Nick or I go live, I'd like to try and go live streaming sometime this week.
Yeah, I'd be happy to stream something.
Yeah, I think both of us would. So we'll announce it in the Discord channel, and I hope you're all there. I'm actually in the Discord channel much more frequently now, almost on a daily basis. So if you ever want to get a hold of me and ping me for anything, just do that in the Discord. I now have it up at work while I'm working, so it's essentially tooting at me whenever somebody puts something into the GameHounds channel. So yeah, I'm there and watching, listening, and lurking. What are you smiling about, Nick?
I'm just imagining sending you messages of Edie, I need copies of this something to my office. Just trying to throw you off of oh wait, no, Discord, Slack, what? I don't know.
No, I don't have it. I absolutely know the difference between the Discord and Teams. And I do all the time. Because I'm good at my job, Nick. I'm really good at my job.
Text a whole bunch of stuff, get you frazzled, get you panicked.
I don't frazzle, Nick. You know that. I am unfrazzleable.
Unfrazzable?
Unfrazzleable. Say that 10, 20 times fast.
Unfrazzable or infrazzable?
I should say I'm not frazzleable, but because I have been frazzled lately, but it's not going to be by anything that you do. Let's just say
Okay.
that. All right. I will talk to all of you later. Have a great week, and you know where to find me if you need to get a hold of me. The Discord. Bye, everyone.